Hey everybody, happy Friday. We survived our first week, or rather some of you survived your first week of homeschooling ever. So I just want to give you a congratulations. You did it, you survived. And hopefully it was better than you thought it might be. I've talked to some of you who said it's actually going pretty well and you're kind of enjoying it. But for some of you, it's been awful and very hard and producing a lot of anxiety and stress. This is something I want to say to all of you who are really concerned about doing this right. There is no one way to do homeschooling. There really isn't. There is a million ways to do it, and a lot of it is all based on your intuition and the skills and strengths that you have as a parent. I like to think of homeschooling as an extension of being a parent, and that I have all those skills I need, and I can do it better than anybody else. That doesn't mean it's not going to be hard and frustrating and have a serious learning curve to figure it out, but I just want you to know that you do have the skills to make this work. So if your first week was totally awful, that's okay. You are not alone. This is supposed to be hard. It's very uncomfortable as your kids go through this transition, as you go through this transition, and everyone is making sacrifices and adopting new routines and schedules. It's okay if it was really hard, and that is totally to be expected. But please just know that there's no one right way to do this. I am a big believer in trying things and finding my own way. I've never been one to kind of read parenting books or really subscribe to anybody else's way of doing it. That's kind of my own thing because there's too many opinions out there. I would much rather just trust my instincts and start and learn from trial and error. So I would encourage you to do that. You're not going to be able to listen to anybody else, even if they've been doing this for a very long time, and just implement their strategies. You won't be able to do it because your kids are very different from their kids. It's a totally different situation, most likely. So my encouragement to you is, like I've talked to you in other videos this week, get grounded in the morning, kind of set an intention, and then try things. Things that don't work, dump them the next day. Things that are working well, keep going with that. And in no time, you're going to be able to have the flow going within your own homeschool, and it's going to be totally customized to your family. So that is the beauty of homeschooling, is you get to do it your way. And if you find that your child learns in some off-the-wall way that no one else does, and it works for them, just do it and embrace that for your family. So for us, we have our morning 5 that I've talked about before. Kids wake up and expected to do their bed, teeth, hair, prayer, dressed. That works for us. We have a morning chore chart. That works for us too, and I like to pay allowance to the younger kids right away. That is kind of what works for our family and gets us all in the routine, but your routine is going to look totally different, and that is absolutely fine. So be confident in yourself and your instincts, trust it, and make adjustments. I have a feeling that we might be doing this homeschool thing for a bit longer than was originally anticipated, so it's going to be really important that we figure it out, and that all that is giving it a shot. So keep trying, make adjustments. I do want to encourage you, though, to adapt some kind of schedule and stick to it so that you can see what works for you. If you're doing something different every day, then you're not going to know kind of what that routine is. But if you adopt a schedule, tweak it, but be consistent, then everybody's going to be able to adjust, and you'll find your new normal even faster. I do want to talk about one, I was sharing with a friend today about one thing that we do, and we do it on Fridays. And I think this is a really good, I think it's really good for anybody to implement. If you have older kids, if you have younger kids, if you have one child, multiple children. On Fridays, we share. And it's kind of our way, it's kind of a quick and easy way for me to see if the kids are actually engaging and learning. And it's also an opportunity to really encourage the kids to think. I was talking to a friend today who said the big thing right now for our kids is that they continue to think. So worksheets are good, and keeping those math facts down, that's really good. But we need to push them to be thinking deeply about things, regardless of what they're studying. So a way that I like to do that is through the Socratic method of asking questions. So for me, I like to do history, and I like to do writing with my kids on my own because I feel more confident in those areas, and I like to have them do math in another way so that they're kind of being tested as they go. But as far as asking questions, so on Friday, we'll sit together and we talk about what they've done. I really pretty much just turn the time over to them for a few minutes to share something they've learned and to share with the rest of the family. And I encourage the other family members to ask them questions. So that really forces them to be thinking about what they're sharing. And also while they're preparing throughout the week to think, what am I going to share with my family this week? And you can make that whatever you want. If you want them to present like a visual or a poster or a presentation or something, that's fine. For us, it looks like sitting on the couch, opening up the book that they've been reading and kind of sharing highlights. For us, it might look like standing up at the map and talking about, today it was Roman history for my high schooler. And I loved it because my younger child, who is not studying this part of history at all, asked a lot of questions. Who was empowered that time? How did they die? How did that happen? It was like a great way of them both, having a good experience. So I love on Fridays to share. If they've done any kind of writing prompt that week, that's also when we share. So I love kids writing, whether it's just like a journal entry or it's a prompt that you've given them, just any old thing about the season, or maybe they're reading a particular book and you want to pull a prompt from that book. Then when you get together on Friday, they can share that. And it's a real kind of open and safe time. I try never to criticize my kids when they are sharing their writing. It's just a really good time to kind of applaud it. On the other side of things, I will stop and say, I loved when you did this. I love that sentence. You made a beautiful alliteration when you used those words and those sounds. Or, oh, I love that thesis statement. It was so clearly written. Those kinds of comments, I think, are great to boost their confidence with their writing. So sharing on Fridays, sharing writing, sharing their history, that's really works well for our family. And we've had a lot of fun, a lot of good discussions with that. So I am going to close, but I want to offer you one little piece of advice for staying sane. So I'm sure, like most of you, it's hard to even think about anything else right now except that's what's going on. And I feel kind of just my emotions throughout every hour of the day are like up and down depending on where my thoughts are. And it's just it's such an obsession right now to think all about this and not necessarily healthy. So one thing I think we can do is return back to something that we used to do before all of this happened. And for me, I love entrepreneurship. We're small business owners and we've built our own business, and I adore studying business. And so I listen to a podcast, How I Built This, NPR. Some of you probably do too. But I stopped listening to that because I was just totally overwhelmed with all the other information coming in. But I went back to that today and yesterday, and it's kind of returned me to a bit of my normal self, my normal thoughts. So I just want to encourage you to find something that you used to do before all this started and do it again if you can, because it's going to help return some of that normalcy. So that's just a little bit of advice. One more resource I'm going to add, and I'll put it in the comments, and this is great for kids. There is a news site that is really fun called Dogo News, Dogo News. Maybe it's Dugo, actually. Anyway, it's spelled Yeah, it's probably do go. Anyway, it's specifically for kids. So it's all of these great news articles that you can read with lots of visuals and usually a video clip to go with it. And there's science and there's social science, all sorts of categories, or not categories, but subjects rather. And you can even use it to ask questions and take little quizzes. So if you want to use that for part of your curriculum, I think it's a really fun way. For me, I just want to get my son reading a little bit more. So I just have him every day get on this site, Do Go News, and read an article, watch the fun video. And it's usually something that he'll talk about at the dinner table that night because it's interesting and it's fun. He gets to kind of choose, but it's very appropriate for a younger audience. So it's not going to dwell on anything really heavy. But we found it to be a really great source. So that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, if I can help in any way, leave a comment. Otherwise, have a great weekend. Stay positive. We are going to be okay. I believe that. And take care, guys. Bye.